If I could describe a farmer in 3 words, hardworking would be number 1.
Farmers are the most creative people.
I think farmers are the most selfless people.
Reliable.
Dedicated.
Resilient.
Passionate.
Essential.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another Seed World Giant Views interview. My name is Alex Martin. I am the editor of Seed World magazine, and today I am joined by Emily Negrin, who is Vice President of Corporate Affairs for Inari Agriculture. We're here at the American Seed Trade Association, CSS and Seed Expo, and this year we're so sad to say that it's the last year we'll be in Chicago, but that's okay. As we get prepped for Orlando, we're hitting you with some fun topics that hopefully should get you prepared for next year. Emily is here today to help us talk about a fun topic that probably doesn't get talked about enough in the seed industry, which is creating your own new brand for the industry. Thanks so much for joining me today, Emily.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
I figured we could start first for some introductions for those people who might not know you as well. So can you give us a little bit more information about yourself and your role at Inari?
Of course. So as Vice President of Corporate Affairs, I get to cover a wide swath, but it really kind of boils down to how we tell our story and the audiences that we are trying to reach. So I focus a lot on internal and external communications, sustainability, and then also government affairs. But like I said, it's really focused on being thought leaders within the industry and talking about the topics that are really important to us and the broader industry. So my background actually started on the public relations and advertising side, working at a couple different agencies before jumping ship and joining the corporate world. I started with the Winfield division of Land O'Lakes, and then ended up joining a company that's today known as Earth Daily Agro, which specializes in satellite imagery for agriculture. But joined Inari 2 years ago now, and have been having an absolute wonderful time. Couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with, and it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but a lot of fun.
So, now I know Inari, not only are you new to Inari, but not really anymore, 2 years is still a long time, but I know Inari is kind of a new company in the ag sector. So I want to hear, Emily, how have you been working to differentiate yourselves in the industry?
Yeah, so to your point, especially within the agriculture industry, Inari is very young. We're only 6 years old. So it was really important, and I think I commend Flagship Pioneering, who is the company that actually started Inari. So they also started a company many people probably heard of now, Moderna. So they specialize more in that human health side. But about 6 years ago, they started thinking about all of the advancements taking place in human health. And CRISPR celebrated its 10-year anniversary this year, and specifically kind of looking at CRISPR and asking themselves, what happens if you take this incredible technology and apply it to agriculture? Is there an opportunity to improve sustainability at the plant level itself? And that really was the start of Inari, was asking this question. So we have the benefit of having started with a very clear vision and purpose in terms of driving sustainability benefits for the agriculture industry. So I think that really helps us out, but also just being, a lot of times I think people think it's hard to be the small new player, but it's also a great opportunity because nobody knows our story, and it gives us a chance to really establish ourselves and tell that story.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, and I know part of your background is you have quite the passion for building brands, which sounds like it's fantastic for Inari. As kind of a newer company, what do you think is key for creating that recognizable, strong brand, that strong story?
Yeah, I think the major element is understanding your why. What is the purpose of your company? What is the bigger thing that you are driving towards? And being able to clearly articulate that, which sometimes is the hardest part. So if you're not somebody who specializes in writing crisp, clear messages, find somebody to help you do it. Because it's really important that you're able to articulate your story in a quick and simple manner, because all of us have very short attention spans, and nobody wants to listen, to a 30-minute answer to a simple question of what does your company do. So being able to really have a solid elevator story, we talk about what can you tell somebody in an elevator ride up, five stories in a building. So I think that is key. But the other thing that a lot of people, I think, take for granted is the consistency of that story. And it's hard when you are the one telling the story over and over again in the same way. And it's human nature to kind of want to find a new twist on the story, or maybe if I phrase it this way instead this time, because we get a little bored with ourselves, hearing ourselves talk about the same thing over and over again. But we got to remember, most of the audiences that we're talking to, it's the first time they're hearing it. So it doesn't matter that we've said that story 10 times over. Chances are it's maybe the first or second time, and even if it is the second or third time, I promise you they didn't memorize your story the first time. So having that consistency, then it builds recognition, because you do want them to go to the point where they're like, oh yeah, Inari, you're the seed design company. I remember you.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Especially, I like that you said it's okay if you tell your story multiple times, because you're right. I don't think everyone knows everything about particular companies, so it's good to have that reminder sometimes. Now, we kind of talked about establishing that story a little bit, and how that is so important to rebuilding or building brands. What do you think is the best way to communicate that mission, that story, and how have you been working on doing that with Inari?
So, with the advent of technology, we have an amazing opportunity to tell that in lots of different ways. The danger is getting overwhelmed by all of those different ways. So I always encourage people to start small, understand where your strengths are as a company, and do that first and get that done really well, and then figure out how you want to grow and expand. So, when I joined Inari 2 years ago, they were really just starting to want to come out of their shell a little bit. They had been kind of more focused on the science side, but realized that they were at a critical point where they needed to come out and tell that story a little bit more, which is why they ultimately created the role that I filled and joined them 2 years ago. So we started thinking about, what makes sense. So, you first think about what I call your owned spaces. Where are the areas where you have complete and total control of your story, and start there and tell the story in the way that you want it told. That also works as a great resource for your own employees to go, how am I supposed to talk about these things? So a thing like a website, having your story clearly articulated there is really important. And if you have the bandwidth to manage social media, you don't have to do all of the channels all the time. Pick one. Who are you trying to reach, and where are they most likely to be? For Inari, LinkedIn is our strongest source, because we are a B2B company. We're trying to talk to other business people. So LinkedIn made sense for us. So we've put a lot of effort into growing that channel and communicating through that, because it's another great example of, while there's lots of ways that people can interact with you, we own the story that we're telling through that channel, so we can engage in a way that's comfortable for us.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I love that you bring social media into that, because I feel like that is such an important part nowadays of getting your story out. And that not only allows other brands in the agriculture industry to see you, but also consumers, everyone who might not be as familiar with agriculture. Now, I know you've mentioned sustainability once already, and talking a little bit more about sustainability and how that's important for Inari. And I know one thing that I've heard about Inari is that the goal is to establish a more sustainable food system. What are some of the solutions you see on the horizon to get to that more sustainable food system?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So Inari really is focused on building a more sustainable food system through the seed itself. And we talk a lot about, you think the size of the seed, it's not much bigger than the top of your pinky, but it is truly a powerhouse of DNA. and there's so much potential within the seed itself that can be unlocked. So that's one of the things that makes me really excited, is knowing that we have accomplished so much in even 6 years in terms of, you know, taking the advancements with AI technology, the advent of CRISPR. You know, there's been so much work done with genome sequencing. We know more today than we have ever known, and the need for solutions is crystal clear. You know, when you look at what's going on in the world of climate change, you know, there's kind of this dual need that's taking place. We need solutions that, you know, help us build a more sustainable future, but we also need solutions that help us deal with the realities of today. So our farmers are out there trying to grow crops in areas that are experiencing extreme weather conditions, from flooding to droughts. You know, so being able to, within the seed itself, make it more resilient and deliver on the needs of a growing population and an earth that, you know, doesn't have unlimited resources, all while ensuring that farmers are, and the communities they live in, are also being taken care of.
No, that's perfect. And then I have just one last question for you today, Emily. What are you most excited to see in the future of Inari? You know, sustainability, new partnerships to kind of better that food system.
Yeah. So, you know, Inari set out its initial focus with corn and soybeans here in the United States. Our goal with soybeans is to increase yield by 20%. In corn, we're looking at a 10% yield increase, while also improving water nitrogen use by 40%. This year was an exciting year because we added wheat through a partnership with Australia. And to me, that was really exciting, not only because it was a new crop, but also bringing in, you know, completely different geography. What I love about our seed design technology platform is it is really built in a way that we can help advance any crop for any geography, which to me is exciting because that means there's unlimited opportunity. I had an incredible opportunity to be in Prague last week. So the Czech presidency hosted a conference on agri-food innovation and sustainability. So Europe's in a really interesting moment in time where they're trying to decide how they want to handle new breeding technologies such as gene editing. It was wonderful to hear how the conversation in Europe has shifted just in the past 2 years. You know, we saw the Minister of Agriculture in France come out and say, I believe that new breeding technologies such as gene editing should be treated differently than GMOs. That's huge. And that was a sentiment that I heard echoed at this conference. So we're waiting to see kind of how legislation moves forward there, but I think there is a definite recognition on a global level that there is incredible opportunity with gene editing, and that we can help enhance sustainability at all levels. And the thing that I love about enhancing sustainability through the seed is it doesn't require farmers to make giant investments in, you know, new technology or, you know, really take any substantial risk. I think there's a lot of things out there that sound great but haven't been proven yet. You know, we can work with farmers in a way that, you know, the seed industry already does. It's just providing them seed. And I think that's really exciting because it's a very attainable solution throughout the value chain.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful place to stop. Just stop with the seed, that it's a wonderful place to start with sustainability. You don't have to do very much else. So we'll stop there, and thank you so much to everyone who watched today. You know, Emily, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have enjoyed this Giant Views. It's not the only Giant Views we're going to have coming out of ASTA this week, so make sure you stay tuned and watch out for other interviews we'll be doing this week. But until then, we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.